I'm Allison Nieder, and I'm here today with Andrew Ola and Miguel Sanchez, and we're going to talk about the Transformers Foundation. To give you a little bit of background, I'm going to share a video with you while we have a chat. So, good morning, Andrew and Miguel.
Hi. Hello. Good morning.
Perfect. Transformers began as a Kingpins event in 2014 and has evolved to encompass sort of several different divisions, which we're going to go into. This year, Kingpins decided to shift Transformers into its own standalone foundation. And so what I'd like to do is, if we can start, Miguel, if you could tell us a little bit of the history of Transformers and some of the topics that you cover.
Yeah, we started Transformers conference around 5 years ago, and we wanted to tackle very hot topics for the denim industry. So Andrew thought about inviting experts on that specific topic to be discussed with an audience that included brands and product developers and all people around the denim industry. The first one that was organized was about water, and I can recall that the first speech was given by a Texas farm with a very, very, very sophisticated irrigation system. Then we covered other topics along the way that were all related to denim, and so we covered transparency, for example, importance transparency. We covered waste. We covered eco labels and topics like this that are important for all. We also covered the value, value versus price and all that. So what is perceived value? So we have been, moving around, the denim industry on different topics around it. Then last Transformers that we ran last year in Amsterdam was about Catalyst. That is startup companies with great ideas. So their potential, now is small things, small impact, but it can generate a lot of, impact in the future business. This Catalyst conference is going to be reproduced in New York in July, and that's something that we will continue doing in Amsterdam and then New York, and we have plans to extend the Transformers. Then, because of an experience that Andrew had with the students, it was clear that the students around fashion design, they didn't have enough information about how denim is made, how complicated is denim business. So last year in London at Ravensbourne University, we made our first Transformers ED educational, where experts from different parts of the supply chain, fibers and chemicals and garments and equipment, they all gave a speech to more than 350 direct students that was repeated to more than 2,000. So we thought that Transformers CD was a great idea, and we intend to repeat that, say Transformers Professional or Transformers Top, and then Transformers CD. We want to repeat that regularly, twice a year at least.
Andrew, can you sort of walk me through what is the mission of Transformers?
Transform. We want to help the industry come to specific conclusions based on expert information, on standardization, on best practices, and best behavior to deal with our industry with the data that we have.
And why did you want to shift into a foundation?
Because the knowledge base comes not from me, but from the people that are our founders. Each of our founders is an expert in the field that they're in. And transformers, I divide the world mentally into two groups, adapters and transformative. And the transformative people are the people that are experts on what they do, and then they lead by either investment, by ideas, by inventions, and they figure out the best practices, and then other people will follow them. So we wanted the transformative companies, the ones that create the newest ideas and have the most knowledge, to lead the industry in best practices. And they should actually own the foundation, not me or anybody else.
What's the relationship between the foundation and Kingpins?
Kingpins, the foundation is really grateful because Kingpins lets them be in the show for free. And we're happy to go to any other show that would let us come. We're happy to go to Munich Start. We're happy to go anywhere. The Transformers is an industry NGO. Mm-hmm. I happen to be one of the members. I'm a tiny little element of it. Lots of other people are members, and we're happy to go anywhere. But so far, our only show that asks us to attend is Kingpins.
Miguel, if you could sort of walk me through some of the founders, some of the other people involved.
Yeah, we wanted to have in the founders, in the group of founders, a representative of every step of the industry. You know, making a pair of jeans is very complex. We start with the fiber, we end with garments, but there are many intermediate steps along the way. So we wanted to have a representative, a very good representative of every single step. Fiber, farmers, chemical companies, mills, laundries, equipment, you know, all that have something to say about denim. And also we consider geographical distribution. So we want to have representatives from different parts of the world because, you know, they can have different views on things. So that we wanted to form a kind of very, you know, specialized top companies in their fields, but also kind of different mentalities because they work from different countries. So we have a balanced type of understrust.
I know that the transition from Kingpins Transformers to the Transformers Foundation has been in the works for a while. It's sort of a crazy time to launch a foundation. Understand?
It wasn't in January. It was really beautiful in January.
Right. Exactly. So what are your plans for the Transformers Foundation? What can you sort of tease about what's coming in the future?
Well, we're committed to education. So the first phase is going to be, and it's just continuing what we've been doing. We want to educate the industry, do events for the industry to educate them on new technologies, best practices, new companies that are doing cool things. We want to go to students all over the world and do our educational events. And we consider them as not only students, but as consumers. So we want to create the next level of consumer, have more about what actually is sustainability and what are the best things they can do and look for. Every student always asks the same question: what can I do that's the most sustainable? Nobody answers that question. So that's really what we're trying to do. And then on top of it, we'd like to eventually do reports. We'd like to take positions. We'd like to have articles. We want to actually be in a position where maybe when COVID is further away from our reality, to actually have the time and the wherewithal to write a story and say, well, this is the way it should be, period. And this is not coming from one guy. This is not coming from people that are biased or their marketing. These are from 11 or 15 experts in the industry. This is what they think should be done, period. That's what we'd like to do. So
it's more than just getting the industry together and sharing ideas. You're really gathering sort of the experts in their area and really tackling a problem. Are you still going to continue to sort of host your events like problem by problem?
Our events, I think we haven't really discussed what future events are going to be. Miguel and I have an idea for an event in October that we haven't shared with anyone. It won't be about one subject. It'll be about a general array of potential problems that we wish to resolve. But we want to get into the nitty-gritty of what we think can be better.
Mm-hmm. Why do you think that sharing this sort of information is necessary for the denim industry?
Because there is not one level of information. There was not one level of education. The industry has different levels of education and information, and they are not aligned. I mean, the claims the projects by, let's say, brands and the ideas by mills, the input from chemical companies, they are not aligned. I mean, there's no real good connection on this. So we are working on a let's say, for a very big industry. I mean, denim is a massive industry, but we are kind of disconnected. And so we need to have a kind of alignment on what is rational, for example. How can we make things in a rational way? The opposite to rational is irrational. And now we are making a lot of denim in an irrational way. So the thing is, we need to define, we need to agree, we need to align, we need to educate, we need to train everybody around denim so we understand each other. We understand the claims, the information given by mills or companies around denim that are not specifically mills. And in this way, we feel that the denim will gain a different status in the future, will become, again, a high added value article as it used to be, because now, because of this confusion, this so many different, the value of denim as an article has been kind of diluted. And this cannot be, because denim is great and it's very complex to be made, and something that deserves to be treated in a much better way.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people understand how complicated denim is. But Andrew, I wanted you've broken this down for me before, and I wonder if you would do it again. The difference between the idea of rational and irrational denim.
Well, we worked together on our position paper on cotton. So to me, it's always the same answer. Irrational is when there's no data. It's like somebody saying that if you wear garlic around your head, you're never going to get the flu. I mean, maybe someone believes that, but that necessarily isn't true. So to get the truth out of it, you might want to go to a doctor. So I feel like 80% of what I read, or some huge of what I shouldn't really assign enough to it, but a lot of what I read about our industry is wrong. And people just float anything. And it's okay. Nobody complains. Nobody says anything. And then sooner or later, you have a student come up to you a year later and say, I read this. This is how it is. And I start laughing. And I say, well, how could, I'm glad you read that, but it's completely wrong. They say, really? And so there's no place in our industry to actually read something that you can actually believe. Do you know a place where you can go? Is anybody? So hopefully Transformers will be that place, and it takes time for us to get there. But our information will be good, and our information will be done by people that are like doctors. They know medicine. We go to doctors when we get sick. Why in our industry is it okay for the patients to be defining what the story is? It's crazy.
So the idea of rational denim or a rational industry is one that you're starting with the data, and it's based on data instead of what we currently have, which is sort of shared information that is not based on sort of the data behind it.
Right. So some people will say, oh, I use less water than I use 30% less water. That's one of my favorite ones. Well, that's like the old joke. How's your wife? And you say, compared to what? So it's someone says they use 20% less water. What the hell does that mean? How could you even be allowed to make that claim? Compared to what? How is that actually viable? Maybe you were using 30% more than you should have to start it with. Maybe it's like, it doesn't even make sense to me. If you're going to say you use less water, then you need to actually admit how much you've been using and the system that you've been using and why it uses that much and what steps you've taken to stop it and prove it by a third party that you've done that. Otherwise, whatever you just said is nonsense at the highest level. And no one seems to question that.
And
maybe you recall.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, go ahead.
I want you to implement. Now, you read the Matrix, the movie, okay? So people were living a kind of life where everything was kind of wonderful and everything. And this is something that happens in the denim industry and more other industries. So many people think that, okay, everything is wonderful. And they do believe that everything is wonderful. The problem is that this is not the truth. And they are living on a, let's say, irrational, and they're producing denim in an irrational way, thinking that they are doing the right thing. So this is something that we also need to tackle, because the perception is totally different to the truth.
in our current situation, with the pandemic, with people so isolated at this point, do you think that there's more of an interest in sharing information? Do you think people have a little bit of time to slow down and talk about such things? Or is it hard to say?
I don't know. But honestly, people have now in all the countries other priorities.
Mm-hmm.
So the virus is only one of the problems, but afterwards the recession is coming. So people are really suffering from the disease, but also they're aware that there's a very bad recession just coming up. So I mean, the denim community is very active and it's very dynamic, and they want to learn. But okay, there's a time for everything, and launching the Transformers Foundation at full, the effect would have been minimal considering the circumstances that the world is going through. So we are working hard. You know, we are preparing things, we are preparing papers, we are preparing everything, we are preparing our own webpage and everything, and we want to launch it when the denim community is really can focus
Mm-hmm.
on these type of things rather than thinking what's going to happen tomorrow. Okay.
Anything else that you'd like to share about Transformers Foundation?
No, I think we're like a movie that's coming up, and you know, this is, we appreciate the chance to do this video, and we're looking forward to when this is all over, this pandemic is over, and we can do our work, and people will be interested in what we do because it's of importance. Right now, we're like a low priority for most people. Cool.
Well, thank you both for joining me and giving me a little bit of the background about Kingpins Transformers, and I hope both of you are doing well.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. A pleasure.
Thank you.